did not film a book haul in June, and as a result, I now have quite a few books to share with you guys, so brace yourselves for a big book haul. Hello everyone, it is Samantha, and I hope you guys are having a fabulous day today. I'm here today coming to you from the end of July. Thank God, I want summer to be over. I'm very happy about this. And I'm coming to you today with a book haul. I have quite a few books I've acquired over the past couple of months, and I'm excited to share them with you guys because I'm excited about all of these guys. And I've already read a couple of them, so that's also a win. And the first book I have to share with you guys is one that I received from Tor, and that is In the Eye of Heaven by David Keck. This is a re-release of the first book because the third and final installment is coming out this December, so they're trying to get people into the series once again. But it seems like a fantasy story that's right up my alley. The story follows the character of Durand Cole, who has spent years training for the knighthood, grueling training, just rigorous, he's ready for it. But then the inheritance is snatched from him, and in anger, he basically becomes a sellsword and starts committing atrocities he never thought he would commit. So it sounds like a story that's not only kind of fantasy and medieval setting inspired, but also kind of a moral questioning kind of a story, if that made any sense. I don't know, we're gonna go with it. The next book that I have here is one that I purchased, and it's from an author that I love that I read years before BookTube, and unfortunately have not read anything else by him in several years, but I am due. And that is Stormglass by Jeff Wheeler. I originally read his Mirrorwood series, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and I fell in love with it. I know he had another series that starts with Queen's Poisoner. I have it, but I haven't read it yet. And then this one seemed really intriguing, so I just decided to pick it up. But it's set in a world where the rich, privileged are able to live in the clouds in these like cloud castles, basically. They live in castles in the clouds, and they're able to be held aloft by this power called the Mysteries. And only the rich have the power to wield the mystery. And the poor are basically doomed to just live on Earth in squalor and work in the factories and not be able to advance in any way. But a young orphan named Seti is adopted by a rich family, and she's able to move to these manors and castles set in the clouds. And she soon discovers that even though she was given this opportunity, she still doesn't quite fit in, and people are still cruel and disdainful of her. So it seems like a story I would really enjoy, and I've missed his writing and really need to get back into it. So I just decided to pick it up because it caught my eye. Because look at this cover. Doesn't that look cool? Those two faces? It's kind of creepy, but it's cool. Next book is one that's been catching my eye for a while on Amazon, and I decided to pick it up, and it's called Onyx and Ivory. It follows Kate, whose father killed the king, and she has earned the title of Traitor Kate as a result. But despite this, she basically works as a courier in the kingdom. But she also harbors a secret power, which is the power of the Wilders, which means she has the ability to speak to animals. She soon discovers a party of people who were killed by drakes, which are these wingless and flightless dragons. And the only sole survivor is the king's son. So they basically set out, things happen, they set out in the world, have to uncover mysteries and all that good stuff. It seems like it'll be a fun novel. It kind of reminded me from the description like a mix of Green Rider and The Wild Magic Quartet by Tamara Pierce, which are both series that I enjoyed. So I decided, you know what? You're getting in my cart and I'm buying you. And I did. The next book is another one that I received from Tor, and it is The Fated Sky by Mary Robinson Cowell. This is a sequel to The Calculating Stars, which also got released this year, which is about basically a cataclysmic event has destroyed Earth, and humans need to find a way to get into space, and it's all about the women who are helping to make that possible while trying to break down barriers. So it's like set in an alternate United States history because I believe it takes place in the 60s, 50s, 60s, that time period. So yeah, this is book 2. Hopefully I'll be getting to these books soon. The next book that I have here is one that I've seen a lot on BookTube lately, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is all about the Greek gods and the character of Circe. So it features, the Greek pantheon, and I really enjoy stories that are about gods in mythology. And I've heard a lot of praise for this story, including several people who have very similar reading tastes to me. So it's one that I think I will enjoy. Plus this cover is so shiny and cool. Look at that. Although I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the UK cover better because the naked dust jacket is super pretty. And unfortunately the US sucks and we get a blank hardback. It's very sad. The next 3 books are books that I all picked up at Powell's. I recently sold a bunch of books back and I had a ton of in-store credit. I had like $37. So I bought a few books. The first one is The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. This was the book club book for my work book club, and I read it and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but it takes place in a futuristic Portland, which was kind of cool to see since, I grew up in Oregon and I work in Portland. So seeing all of these familiar names and places was kind of cool. But it's about this man who has the ability to dream dreams that will change the fabric of reality, and a psychiatrist who basically tries to harness that power. So it's kind of a very surreal story. It definitely is very metaphysical in what that it tries to describe and explain, and it really gets you thinking, and it's a story that I really found myself enjoying, and it actually led to some very intriguing discussion at my work book club, which is pretty nice. Next one that I picked up was one that was brought to my attention by my buddy Brandy, who has a channel, and I will leave it down below, but she brought this book to my attention. I hadn't heard of it. I saw it at Powell's and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. And it is The Traitor God by Cameron Johnston, and it's all about this reviled magician who basically fled the city, but he has returned back to avenge the death of his friend. His friend uncovered this mystery and tried to reveal it to the people in the city, but they basically just ignored him, and they ultimately ended up killing him for his knowledge. And so he wants to find out who murdered him and to kind of set things to right. So it's like a tale of revenge as well as intrigue and politics and gods. And it all sounds very exciting. So I decided to just pick it up because it was right there on the shelf. So it was meant to be, clearly. The next one that I picked up was one that I haven't heard of before or seen anybody talk about, but it caught my eye. And that was Mystic by Jason Denzel. And this is all about this world where people have the ability to control this power called the Mist. And it's basically their magic system. But only the most privileged and higher class people have the opportunity to become apprentices to learn how to control the Mist. Until Pamela comes along, and she's one of the first commoners that has been invited to join this school of learning. So she has to go through a lot of trials and break down a lot of barriers to be able to find her place in this society. Seems like it's kind of Celtic inspired, and it'll be kind of whimsical and dark, and something that I love to bits, those kind of stories. So I picked it up. And it was a fairly good deal because it was marked down because it said it had a remainder mark, but there's literally no remainder marks on it. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it anyway because it sounds like a good story. Plus it's not very long, which is another bonus. So in the town that I live in, which is a small town, we recently got a new used bookstore, which is really, really exciting because I've been wanting us to get a bookstore for ages. So I went in, I checked it out, and I picked up one book, and that book is Hood by Stephen Lawhead. Tried to read his Arthurian retelling last year, and after book 2, I didn't much care for it, but I did hear that his Robin Hood retelling is a lot better. So I saw it on the shelf, and I decided to pick it up and give it a go. The next book is one that I received from Tor, and I have already read, and I will be discussing in my July wrap-up, and that is Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is a book that takes place in a Middle Eastern and Indian-inspired world. It's all about this girl who's descended from the Amarithi. The Amarithi had the power to use dance to control the power of the gods. And her power comes to the attention of the Empire's most feared mystics, and she basically gets coerced and kidnapped by them. And she has to find a way to kind of set things to rights because these people have been harnessing the dreams of the gods for ill, as well as trying to discover her freedom for herself, as well as the man they forced her to marry. Next one is one that I received in my P.O. box. I actually no longer have my P.O. box. I wasn't receiving a lot of books there anymore because most of the publishers have to send it to a street address. They can't send to a P.O. box. So I decided to get rid of it because it had gone up a lot in price. But before I ended up canceling it, I did have one more book in there, and it was The Forgotten Moon, The Five Warrior Angels by Brian Lee Durfee. He very kindly sent this to me. It's apparently a first edition of his book, and it's hardcover. It's even nicely wrapped with that like library plastic binding. So he very, very kindly sent this to me. It seems like it's set in a world that has angels and political intrigue and war and just a lot of things happening. It's also very, very big, but it seems like the kind of story up my alley, so I'm excited to get to it. So thank you very much, Brian, for sending this to me. And that is Madame Bovary. The next book I picked up was to continue my Word Cloud Classic collection, and that was Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I think maybe is how you say it. My French is terrible. I apologize. The story is basically about this woman who lives beyond her means in order to escape the provincial life. I don't actually know too much about the story, but it's this one that's always caught my eye. Plus, I like purple, and the cover was purple. And again, I'm trying to expand my Word Cloud Classic collection, so here we are. The next two books are all part of the same fantasy series, and that is Crucible of Souls by Mitchell Hogan and Blood of Innocence, also by Mitchell Hogan. It's book 2. I feel like I might have already mentioned this one, so if this is a repeat, please forgive me. But it's all about this young man who is studying magic and learning at this monastery, but an event basically banishes him from the monastery and off this island and into a city. So he has to try and join the Magician's Guild and try and work his way into the fabric of society. But of course, things are not as they appear. He realizes there's more to this Magician's Guild, and there's more political groups and things and he was aware of, and he has to find where he fits into the scheme of things. I actually really enjoyed it, but it was a first novel, a debut novel, so I decided to give book 2 a go since I enjoyed book 1 so much, at least the story and whatnot. So I got book 2. I haven't started it yet, but hopefully will be soon. And the last few novels are all ones I received this week. The first one of those is Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. This is the sequel to Kings of the Wild, but it features one of the characters' daughter, who I am very, very excited to read about. Kings of the Wild is pretty humorous, so I'm expecting Bloody Rose to be pretty humorous as well. And I love funny fantasy. Hey, alliteration even. I am very much looking forward to this one because you know what? I like to laugh. Next one that I received is one that looks exactly like a story I am going to love, and it is The Sisters of the Winter Wood by Rena Rossner. It follows these 2 sisters who are growing up in a remote village on the outskirts of the Ukraine. They live a fairly peaceful and sheltered life, but soon these troop of mysterious men show up and lure them into the woods and under their spell. But they discover that part of their ancestry is a magic power they never knew they had, and that some of the fairy tales they grew up hearing are in fact true and may save them. I love fairy tales. I love fae stories. I love fairy tale retellings, and so I think this is one I'm really going to enjoy. I might leave it until fall, winter, because it feels like it'll be kind of an atmospheric read. But this book does come out in September, so you'll be able to get your hands on it pretty soon. The next book is one that I received from Penguin, and I am super excited about it because it seems like a book I'm going to love. And it is Flame in the Mist by Renee Addy. The story takes place in medieval Japan, and it follows a samurai's oldest daughter. She is been betrothed to a young man, and on her way to her marriage, she ends up getting attacked by the Black Clan, but she ends up escaping and re-emerging as a boy and disguising herself in order to infiltrate the Black Clan and seek her vengeance. So it seems like it's going to be a very exciting book, and I am really excited to read it. Plus the cover is super pretty and cool. I'm a fan. I am a fan. The final book was another one I received from Penguin, and that is Reaper at the Gates. It is the 3rd book in the Ember and the Ashes trilogy. I feel like that's not the name of the trilogy, so forgive me. But I enjoyed book 1. I still need to read book 2, but now I have book 3 and I can finally read it, and I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting. Alright guys, that is it for my large June and July book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of the books that I picked up the past couple of months, because it was quite a few. I have a lot of reading ahead of me, but I'm okay with that. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!